Hi, Jennifer. Welcome back to the podcast.
I can't believe you're having me on again. You were so generous, so good to me. Ah,
Well, you know what's wild is I was just sharing this with you. This is your fourth time. Like no other guest has been on four times, Jennifer. Like this is so exciting because, yeah, I just love your books and I just think you write really strong books to help people grow deep roots, which is what the point of this podcast is about. But I was telling you, you were my like back in no, 2019 is when my first podcast. You were number three. So
that is
I
so
had like an
wild.
intro, which was like a solo, and then I did a first interview. You were my second interview.
I
Um,
love it.
yeah, so I love that you're back. And this time, you guys, this is her new book, How to Love Your Mornings. Now, I am a morning person, so I always love my mornings, but this is not just for people that are morning people. She's going to say that everyone's a morning person. I can't wait for you to define what a morning person is. But tell me a little bit about what inspired you to write a book on mornings. I'm just curious,
Okay.
and real quickly, I know you did a lot of research about mornings in the Bible. So tell us about that as well.
Okay, that all ties in together. Happy to share. Well, actually, every other book that I have written came out of a place of what I would call a flaw in my character,
Mm,
something that God had to work out in me through years of, time with him and time in his word and conviction. So my first book was dealing with like wanting people's approval, and I needed God's approval and only, not people. So I wrote a book about that. I wrote a book about happiness because that was a struggle. I'm a control freak, so I wrote It's All Under Control. I could have more easily written a book called Growing Fast, but I wrote one called Growing Slow. So you see the pattern here. God just keeps on fixing ridiculous parts of my personality, and then lo and behold, I get to write a book. I got to write a book of something that I actually have done fairly well for most of my life, and not perfectly, but well. And it's really cool to get to write from that place. Like
ooh, that's great.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I share in the book how there's been really, really, really hard mornings, but how God sustains us in the morning. It's not performative. It's not what I have done, it's what God has done with mornings that makes it really exciting. So it wasn't even my idea, Jody. This book was not my idea. We were on vacation, the family, the girls and I, they're college age, and we were talking about how much we love vacation mornings and espresso, beach walk, watch the sunrise, Bible time together. We were going through all the stuff we wanted to do that morning, and my older daughter, Lydia, laid her hands flat on the table and she said, "Mom, you need to write a book about mornings." And I didn't
Mm,
even know what that meant. Like, how do you write a book about mornings?
right.
But that very morning, I had the Bible in front of me. I'm like, I wonder what God has to say about mornings. And I started to search the scriptures, and I ended up studying all 200 plus mornings
Wow.
in scripture, which was really, really exciting. And that the book is really grounded in that on a scriptural foundational level. But on like a philosophical family level, the girls were saying how my approach as a mom and as a parent in our house was having them always cling to the hopefulness of God every single morning, even if they knew they were going to face a difficult test or a friendship problem at school or just busyness and overwhelm as they were growing up. Like we had this idea of everything will be better in the morning. So there was always
Mm.
physical touch, hugs, conversation. Always, always we prayed together every single morning. We took care of our bodies. We ate right every single morning and just had these little touch points. They would never make anybody's Pinterest mood board, but they laid a foundation for a healthy family here in the home, a healthy way to approach the day. And those are habits now that the girls have taken on into their own adult life. So we brought all that together, all the practical things that made a morning great, even on the hard days. And we also, of course, really laid it on the backdrop of what God had to say about mornings in Scripture.
Mm. I love that it was your daughter's idea. That is so special. And you know what? It is fun to write a book, I would think, out of something that's more your, not your struggle, right? I do think it's so important to write from our struggles because people can relate and enter in. But how fun to write a book where you're like, you know what? I've done this better. This isn't a struggle for me. Let me help you, those that maybe struggle with it. And so
That's right.
that must have been fun.
Yes, it really was. And, I mean, I don't even know, Jody, if I would have said, oh, I'm a morning person like 10 years ago. Like, we have what are called chronotypes. And a chronotype is something that you can actually take a test to see what your chronotype is. Like, you're either an early bird or a night owl
Right.
or something in between. And a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm a night owl, so I'm not a morning person. And I hate mornings. And the problem with going into mornings like that, saying I'm not a morning person, I hate mornings, is that we are really doing a disservice to ourselves because how you name yourself shapes how you live. And if you
Mm,
see yourself as a non-morning person, I don't do well in the mornings. If you have that, you're always going to enter the day defeated before you begin. But
wow.
when you begin to believe, yeah, you know what? I'm a morning person because God is. God's a morning person. That means I am. You're doing more than just claiming this label. You're deciding, like, this is how I want to live. This is how I want to enter my day before I put my feet on the floor. That's something that I've done. Like, I am not the woman who bounds out of bed like a Disney princess. I am not the woman who runs a half marathon before 7 a.m. I don't even get up before 7 a.m. some mornings. Like, I am a woman who has decided long ago life is worth waking up for, and God is going to meet me here. And that's what this book is about.
I love that so much. Well, you talk about a definition of a morning person, which is great because it's very different than a lot of how, like you said, these types that people classify ourselves. But I am the typical morning person where my husband will laugh. I'll wake up and I'm already talking, and he's like, I need coffee. And I'm like, So when I saw your book, I'm like, oh, I love this. But I love that this is not just written for someone like me, maybe written for someone that it's not about the time you wake up, but it's how. I'm going to let you define it. It's so good. You
Yeah,
have like two parts to it. So what define
absolutely.
your
Yeah.
morning person?
So we are morning people because God is. We're made in His image. And it became clear to me that being a morning person isn't a clock thing, it's a God thing. And
Mm,
to help, I have this definition of what a morning person is. It is two parts. And a morning person is somebody who has learned to approach the morning with hope and intention, not defined by the hour she wakes up, but by
mm,
how she wakes up, like who she wants to encounter, namely
that's
God.
good.
And I think
Hmm.
most of us as Christians like really would say that's the way I want to live. I want to approach my morning with hope and intention, even in the midst of the chaos and the confusion that a day might bring. So the second part of it is that a morning person is somebody who sees the first moments of the day as full of possibility, as a
Mm,
sacred threshold where you can love God with your whole being. And again, it doesn't have to look like fitting an Instagram aesthetic. It's not going to be nice on in a Pinterest mood board, maybe, but it's just deciding, you know what? This is a place. Like before I do anything else, I am going to love God with my whole being.
I like that. Yeah. And again, I love that it doesn't have to determine by the clock, right? Because for
Yes,
some people, maybe they start that way with that attitude and it starts at 9 a.m., right? And for
that's
some
right.
of us, it starts at 5 a.m. And that's not determining whether you're a morning person, the time, it's the how and what's your focus of the morning. So I just loved your outlook on that. Because I have a friend, we're like opposite. She's a night owl, I'm a morning person, but we talk about when we're most productive. And I love that that's not what this is about. I mean, we do have times
Right.
we're more productive, but this is about how do I want to start off my day connecting to the Lord, connecting, having this time where I love Him. And you use the verse that talks about your heart, soul, mind, and
Yeah.
strength. And I love that that's how you divide up the book. And we're going to get into that in just a minute because that was my favorite part. But you have these like fun types of morning people. And so I'd love for you to name the four types. Tell me which one you are, and then I'll share which one I am.
Okay, cool. So when I was writing the book, I honestly thought what I'm going to do here is find a tried and true one size fits all morning ritual that's going to reinvent everybody's morning. There's
Mm,
secular books like that, like get up at 5, everybody should get up at 5 a.m. And we're all going to do these certain sets of things when we wake up. But it became so clear to me that that's not going to work. That's impossible. Everybody's in a different life stage. Everybody has a different chronotype. Mornings ask different things of different people. And here's where the archetypes come in. We each have different reasons for wanting to get
mm,
up. in the morning. So I discovered these four morning archetypes, which is basically a fancy word for morning personalities.
Love
And
it.
there's none of them are better than the other, none of them are superior. One might be tempted to think that the one I talked to you about regarding like morning meditative Bible time is superior to the others, but it's not true. So here we go. Here's the four. The first one is the daybreak doer. And this archetype is ready to hit the ground running right away in the morning. They feel most relaxed when they have a clear sense of what's ahead. So it doesn't mean that you just jump into work and then never look back. But what it
Right.
does mean is you take some time to mentally prepare for a work assignment. Maybe you tidy the kitchen. You like to get up and know that this day is filled with purpose. This day is going to be filled with good things. It gets you out of bed. Then there's the morning mover. She likes to get moving as soon as she wakes up. You know, maybe before Bible time, maybe even before coffee. It kick starts the metabolism and the mood. It doesn't have to be strenuous. It might be like a high cardio workout, but it might be like a just a jog on the treadmill or a walk around the block with the dog. Then there's the meditative mind. That's the third type. And this is the one that is drawn to, I think, what we all think every person's supposed to do when they wake up in the morning. They're drawn immediately to prayer and Bible study and devotional reading and all those kinds of things, which 100%. I strongly believe that all of our mornings should have some component of that. This person, the meditative mind, starts right there. Awesome. So then the fourth type is the social seeker. They actually want some kind of social interaction right away to have a sense of connection and purpose. Um, it really just kind of releases those feel-good hormones for some people. I think that you sound a little like a social seeker when you were describing yourself with your husband. I know one of my girls was the second she came bounding out of the bedroom, she had stories that were pent up for days or for hours, I should say, and she wanted to have conversation and be social and have a hug and a little bit of touch. So those are the four types. It's important to know which one is yours because what you're going to want to do is incorporate activities common to your type in your morning ritual. And you're actually going to want to start there because that's the thing that will motivate you when you wake up.
I love it. Okay, so which one are you?
I'm a morning mover.
Ooh, that's
And
good.
yeah, and the reason I know it for sure, well, I have a quiz that helps people figure this out.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
but the other reason I know is because um, I don't naturally want to get up at 5:07 a.m. That is not my morning time, but I have to get up at 5:07 a.m. some mornings because that's when my workout class begins at 5:30. We live in a small town. There are no other options, literally no other options for a fitness class other than 5:30 a.m. But I am so motivated and so excited to go to work out with my friends and be motivated and get my body moving that I will get up for that particular activity. And those are the days when I feel so ready to take on the day, even though I
Mm.
would have maybe preferred to sleep in sometimes. Because when I get back, I have my coffee, then I've got my Bible time, I've got more margin at the front end of the day than I do any other day of the week, aside from when I have my fitness classes. So I am a morning mover. How about you?
Mm. Well, it's so funny because I'm a little bit of all of them. So I don't know
Yeah.
which one's like my primary thing. But now that you said I'm such a talkative one in the morning, maybe I am the social seeker. You also said if you reach for your phone right away, but I do that. But I also don't have kids at home anymore. So I go to bed early, like sometimes it's between 8:30 and 9:30, but my goal is 9. So my kids are still up. So sometimes when I wake up, there's texts from them. And so I check my phone right away to make sure I didn't miss anything important from my kids. That's the main reason why. So maybe that is the social, but right after I check my phone, then I put it down and I grab my Bible and I try to start my morning with it because I am a doer. And if I don't start with the Bible first, my morning takes off and I never go back to it. And so I've learned that I have to start with it with the first minutes of my day and give my time to Jesus of like, what do you want me to do versus starting right with the do tasks and everything? Because then I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go do that in a minute. And next thing you know, 4 hours has gone by and it's like, I never went back to do it. So I guess I'm maybe a combination of the social seeker and
Social. Yeah,
in the
that's
in
good.
the meditative, what's it, meditative mind. But
Meditative mind.
yeah, but I am a doer. Like I think I'm a my power hours are in the morning. So I actually like exercise in the morning, but that's not the best use to use my mind. So if I do my exercise in the morning, I feel like I'm wasting the time where I'm the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Like on. So that's when I'm trying to get my work done. But I'm a teacher, so I teach part-time. I do my ministry part-time. So some mornings I'm out the door off to school. I don't have these mornings where I get to, my everything's shorter periods of time versus like a
Yep.
long devotional. It's like 10 minutes. So,
Yep.
but
That's great.
I
And
love
that
these. And
counts.
it does count. And I love that you give in the book like specific things for each of the types, like especially when we get to the gratitude one. Like I love that, like if this is your type, these are the ways that you can show that well. Like I love that you bring them in throughout the book. So I love that we talked about
Thank
that.
you.
But for me, what really touched my heart is this chapter you titled For the Mornings When Your Heart is Breaking.
Mm.
And Jennifer, you lost your dad and you talk about it in the book. And I recently lost my dad. And so every time you talk about it, it just like tugged on my heartstrings. It's just like I entered into it with you because it's like, this is so new and fresh for me. And you even have something at the very beginning in the introduction where you talk about, how to be a daughter on the first morning when you wake up without your
Yeah.
dad. And to me, I was just like sobbing. I'm like, oh my God, because that just was so recent. But in this chapter, your dad is on hospice and you're
Yeah.
sharing about mornings and how you even say, is it possible to love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, even when your soul is crushed? And this is in the heart and soul section when we divide this up. And it just was so like, these are questions we're asking ourselves. I love that you're entering into this and helping us because there are so many that their mornings are hard. They're not waking up wanting to exercise, wanting to do anything. They're just wanting to crawl back into bed. It's just the mornings are hard. So can you speak to someone right there that's where they're at and even encourage me like how can we still have our mornings like how tell me what you did or I
Yeah.
don't know give advice to someone on how to get through this.
Yeah. I think during those times, which all of us go through in this life, is it can feel like in times of great stress or grief that a morning ritual is dispensable. Like,
Mm,
I'll get back to that someday. I just don't have the time or energy for it right now. But I learned a really important lesson during those months with Dad. And that is that I needed my morning ritual not only on my best days, but especially on my worst ones. My morning ritual was this thing that offered predictability and
mm,
stability. I was with mom and dad a lot during his months on hospice, which meant that as soon as I woke up, I hit the ground running. Dad needed meds. Mom and dad needed breakfast. There were certain cares that I needed to help with dad. The nurse was coming. The social worker was coming. I was dealing with my own grief of losing my dad day by day. Then on the times when I'd come back home, I was way behind here.
yeah.
So it could be easy to say, well, I'll just use that time instead and just get things done while I'm home. But I learned that I really needed to depend on Jesus even more and to take care of myself even more. You've read the book and you know that there's a big emphasis on spending time with God, but there's a really big emphasis also on taking care of your body, getting the sleep you need, and those kinds of things. So my quiet times were actually quite a bit shorter than they were during, like less demanding seasons of my life, but I still did them. I woke up, speaking to Jesus, holding my hands out and saying, I give you this day and whatever it holds, Lord. Lord, I ask you to fill me with your spirit today. When I'm, brushing my teeth and putting on makeup or whatever I'm doing, I'm like listening to the Bible on audio. I'm making
Mm.
sure that I don't forget things like taking my meds. I don't forget things like hydrating my body with water and yes, probably more coffee than I probably should consume. And also like taking short walks to keep my body moving and my mind sharp. I needed Jesus in those mornings. And I just sometimes it was as simple again as like, I gotta give you this day, fill me with your spirit, give me your comfort, help me make decisions that will honor you and honor my dad. That was so helpful to me because it made me a better person, not only for myself and the way I felt, but it helped me to be the kind of caregiver that my mom and dad needed me to be.
Mhm. I love that. And sometimes those little prayers are just like three words, like give me strength or help
Yeah,
me, Jesus, give me wisdom. I remember that went through my divorce. That's how I kind of got through it with these breath prayers. And so it felt like I was right back into a season of
yeah,
heartbreak. It was just crazy how you can come made so much progress. I mean, my book is all about helping people through heartbreak. And here I am
yeah.
back and like getting it back out and rereading things I've written and trying to help myself through it. But it was a hard season. And I love the next part in the strength section, or I'm sorry, in the mind section. Your dad, again, I maybe because I'm missing my dad, the connection pieces with your dad were so powerful. But the chapter is titled How to Be Grateful on Overwhelming Mornings. So right away I'm like, oh, this is gonna be another great one of when I feel negative, like overwhelmingly negative. And then that's that little spoiler alert. That's not what it's about. It's all about overwhelming, but like in the good sense. And this is how your dad was. He just, like, you share a story about how you're on a mountain and he's just like, I'm overwhelmed with the beauty and the awe. And it was like the first time I was like, wow, I don't think I ever use that word. I always say awe if I'm in like awe, but overwhelmed, I always think negative. Like maybe I'm just negative. But I think when people say this is overwhelming, I think they mean in a bad way. And so you said this is like a word that has these two opposite
Yeah,
meanings. And it has like a
yeah.
fun name too. I'll let you share that. But I love that at the end of the books, you have these mantras and you have these prayers that, by the way, did you write these prayers or these prayers you got from a book or did you write each
No,
one of these?
those liturgies are me. I wrote those.
Okay. They are so good, Jennifer. So
Thank
good. So
you.
in this one, I first of all want you to tell about the two gratitudes and how
Okay.
this leads to or the two overwhelms and how it leads to
Overwhelm.
gratitude. And then
Mhm.
I'm going to have you read those parts at the end of that chapter. They were my favorite too.
Oh, wonderful, Jody. Thank you. I really enjoyed writing those liturgies, which is also another easy thing to do. If you don't know what else to do in your morning, you can read one of those and knock one of those out in 2 minutes. So,
Right.
overwhelm. Okay, I'm a word nerd. So, there is something for word when a single word can encompass two extremes. And these words
Mm.
are called contronyms.
I never heard
So,
of that before.
yeah, I know. Like, here's another one, dust. Like, you will dust something with a little maybe bit of powdered sugar, which would put in that, but you would dust something off. Like, that's
Off.
opposite, right? So, overwhelm is
Yes.
that way. Overwhelm can mean like, this is a hard day, this is a hard season, I feel overwhelmed. Um, but you can also be overwhelmed in a good way, the kind of way that you just know like God is in it, that he is overwhelmingly good, overwhelmingly kind,
Mm. I love it.
overwhelmingly faithful. My dad tended toward overwhelm that way, overwhelm in a good way. When he was at the end of his life, though, I wasn't sure because it was 6 days before dad passed away. And he was on his bed. I was
Mm.
beside him. He looks up in the corner of a bedroom and he said, It's overwhelming. And I said, Dad, is it overwhelming in a good way or is it overwhelming in a bad way? Because,
Mm.
he had every right to say overwhelming in a bad way because life on hospice is no picnic. But
Right.
dad said, it's overwhelming in a good way. And
Mm.
in that moment, I don't know what dad was seeing or what he was thinking, but in my way of thinking, my heavenly father was giving my earthly father a sense of what was to come. That when life here is overwhelmingly hard, it's overwhelmingly bad, that God really is overwhelmingly loving, overwhelmingly kind, overwhelmingly holy. And I'm like, I want to live like that. I want to seek the good overwhelm in my life. And I know it takes practice. Like, it's not easy always to see the good or to put a happy bow on something, but it really makes a difference. It's like the act of practicing gratitude. It starts your day out better. It puts you in a better mood, gives you more motivation over time. When you cultivate gratitude and you seek the good overwhelm in your life, you're building a kind of resilience. So look for the good overwhelm is the lesson that Dad would leave us with.
Mm. And it's like so opposite, I think, of how most people look at overwhelm. Like, right?
Yeah.
If again, I just think it's a great way to flip the script of like, I'm going to try to use this word overwhelm only in the good sense now. Like, it was such a impactful chapter to me of like, I'm always talking about how I'm overwhelmed, but it's always the negative one. Like, what if I try to flip it and focus on, because there's so much to be grateful for. And in that section, you have all the four types and you give practical things for each one on how to see the overwhelm in a good way and practice gratitude. And it was one of my favorite things because I'm like, these are so good and they're simple. It's not like this whole long thing that's going to take you hours. It's, just I loved it. I love that so much. And again, these liturgies, I love that you wrote them. I thought maybe there was a book, and I'm like, oh, she doesn't reference a book. I'm like, I think she wrote these,
I
and they're
did.
beautiful,
Thank
Jennifer. They're
you.
beautiful. So the
It's out of
overwhelm
my
one, let's
box.
read. Was it? Wait, say it again.
I said it was out of my box to write like that. I've never written like that. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, you killed it. It was so good. And the overwhelm one, I don't know, maybe again, because this was such a, like, I thought I knew what the chapter was going to be like. And it was such a twist and just really was like a aha moment for me. I need to live this way, that these two were really powerful. So can you, just because every chapter ends this way, and we don't have time to read them all, but read the morning manna, which is
Yeah,
just like a quick, affirmation statement you can say, and then the morning
the
liturgy for this
liturgy.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Jody. Every chapter ends with morning manna, which is like a affirmative statement, something that we can go into our day with. And then we also have liturgies at the end of every chapter, and those are like prayers. So the morning manna for this chapter is I choose to be overwhelmed by the greatness of
Mm.
God, not the weight of my worries. And from this morning forward, my heart will rise in gratitude every single day.
So good. So good.
And then the liturgy. This one is a liturgy for being overwhelmed in a good way at the start of day. Lord of peace, I come to you with a mind that often feels overwhelmed in a bad way, a
Mm.
heart that feels unsteady, and a spirit seeking stillness in the morning. Today, I choose to release to you the following: my anxiety when the day ahead looks overwhelming, but not in a good way, the
Mm.
need to control the hours ahead, my tendency to leap into tomorrow's challenges and replay yesterday's mistakes. Lord, let me pause to count the ways I am safe today. My body breathes, my heart beats, my mind finds its way to you. I am sheltered, seen, and held by your love. Remind me to be grateful for these precious gifts. Today, I will not let worry steal the gift of this morning. Instead, I will anchor myself in this truth. You are here right now, and you alone hold my future.
Mm.
Each morning is an opportunity for good overwhelm to flush out the bad overwhelm. Overwhelm me, O Lord, with your faithfulness, your goodness, and your nearness. Overwhelm me, God, in the best way possible. Amen.
Mm. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I think
Thank
for
you.
those of us that see overwhelm more in the negative way, it was just a beautiful way to like validate that this is true. These are overwhelming, but this isn't
Yes.
where I'm going to put my focus. This isn't where I'm going to change it, and I'm going to sit with the beauty and the overwhelm of you, Lord. Like you are holding me up. I am held. I am strengthened by you. So it was really beautiful. They all are good, but that one really resonated with me. And just that whole chapter was really special. And again, anytime I think of someone's dad now, I love to
Yeah.
hear dad stories. After you lose your dad, you're just even more in awe of other people's dads. It sounds like we
Yeah.
both had really good fathers.
We did.
Um, yeah. So strength. Okay. So the last section. So we have love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, then mind, then strength. And this one's like what you would think about, get a good night's sleep, exercise, move your body, eat healthy. They're all great. But the good night's sleep, I think this is the one that especially women in our age struggle. Like, I don't know about you, but I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And next, thing you know, I'm like wide awake. And it's like, Lord, I don't want to be up yet. Help me fall back asleep. So you have first of all, just some great verses like this. It's called Seven Bible Verses to Help You Sleep Better, one for every day of the week, which I'm going to put by my bed at night to read because I actually don't have this issue as much, but there was like a year where every night I was up at like 3 and could not go back to sleep. And it almost felt like a little bit of a spiritual warfare time. But I would pray, I would do all the things, and I would just lay there wide awake. And finally, I would just get up and start my day because I'm like, I can't lay here anymore. And I don't want to start my day at 3 in the morning, Jennifer. I'm good starting at 4:30 or 5, but 3 is a little too early for me. So I love these verses. And then do you have a night, like I know you talk about your morning routine, but do you have a nighttime routine that helps foster a good night's sleep? I'm just curious. Do you,
Yeah.
I know you talk about
Yeah.
not
And
having your phone.
yep. So I lead women through creating an evening ritual as well. It's so important because people, a lot of times, if I talk to people enough, the reason that they are not having a great morning is because they really didn't get the sleep they needed. So
Right.
if I can just speak into that for a minute,
Yes,
um,
please.
one of the problems that most of us have is we participate in what is called revenge bedtime procrastination.
Yes, I
So
remember this part. It's so good.
it is this idea of reclaiming me time because I think for women, a lot of our day is spent doing things for other people, caregiving or our work or children, our parents, like what have you. So this feels like, oh, finally, I get to have a little bit of me time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch an extra Netflix, even though I know I should go to bed by 10 or whatever your bedtime is. I'm going to scroll on Instagram and just numb out for a minute, which I mean is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can kind of get like really like weighed down if you do that for, it's good to check Instagram, but
Yes.
like you can just end up losing yourself for a long time doing these kinds of things. And it's actually hurting our mornings a lot. So the best mornings don't begin when the sun rises, they actually start the night before. And that includes getting to bed on time and prioritizing yourself at night. A good way to do this is to treat the evening in the same way that you would want to treat a really good morning. So thinking about like for me, you asked about mine in particular. As the night goes on, I tend to turn the lights down. There's a
Mm.
shift of not having the bright lights overhead. Before I go to the bedroom, I look at my calendar to make sure I have everything down on my calendar. So I don't need to be ruminating about it in the middle of the night or before I go to bed. It's already there. It's on the calendar waiting for me the next morning. There's no point in dealing with it. Then I wash my face, I brush my teeth. Sometimes I'll even spray a little lavender mist on my bed just to create kind of just this calming atmosphere.
Mm.
I draw the shades. I have the phone set aside by now. I'm not like scrolling in bed. We do not have a TV on in the bedroom ever, ever, ever. I just think we know scientifically it is not a healthy way to go to sleep. And then very often, the way I will get to sleep it's a prayer, and it is the Lord's Prayer.
Mm.
Oftentimes I'll go through it and I'm actually asleep before I finish the
You
prayer, and
finish.
I don't think God minds.
No.
I think that it is a good thing to have the Lord be the very last thing on my mind before I drift off to sleep, knowing that He never does. And that is so calming to me to know, God, you stay awake, you're working even when I am resting. The Lord's Prayer, like wherever I land in this prayer, you are, you're with me in these prayers, not just at the amen, but in the midst. I take it very slowly as I go through that prayer, and it's better than counting sheep by a long shot.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that because that's good to know. And I do think it does make a difference. When you put your phone away, like if you're they say there's like a blue light even that comes off
Mhm.
that's not good for you. So there's so many things by just, getting rid of that sooner in the night and allowing yourself just to have a routine to fall asleep. And for me, I don't have any problem going to sleep. Like I'm always out, but it's that middle of the night. But lately I have been back to sleep and no problem. So I'm thankful for that. But I do think that tends to be, I think maybe it's as we're getting closer to menopause, who knows, where things are not working as well in the
Well,
evening.
I mean, that's actually the way we were created. Before the Industrial Revolution, that's how we did sleep. It's called biphasic sleep. There's a name for it. It means that you go to bed at a certain time and then you wake up with a period of wakefulness for a couple of hours and then you would go back to sleep. But after the Industrial
Mm,
Revolution, there was artificial light, so you could move your whole evening later and keep working or having fun or socializing or whatever you wanted to do. So biphasic sleep kind of went away, but you can still see echoes of biphasic sleep in the Psalms. So like um one of the psalmists says, "On my bed I remember you, God. I think of you through the watches of the night." So that's biphasic sleep. And so
mm,
that gives us a way of thinking about what to do at 3 a.m. too. Um,
yeah.
to think of you through the watches of the night. And like Christians over the years have actually embraced this whole biphasic sleep thing. Saint Benedict required the monks to get up around midnight to commune with God, and then they'd go back to
Wow.
bed. So if that's you, I mean, I've got lots of tips in there. If you're kind of you're echoing back to the way God made us with this biphasic sleep, there's some things that you can do during those waking hours.
Yeah. So helpful. Well, you have so much practical tools in the book, but the very end of the book is so practical. So you divide it by stage of life. So this is what's so great because, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, you have a section for them. Maybe you go and you work outside the home, or maybe you're an empty nester like me. I just entered into this phase. So it's so new. And you have these stages. And then for each one, you have like a recommended morning routine. You have other people coming in and giving advice and speaking into it. It sounds like maybe you asked for people to share where their best piece of advice. It's so practical, you guys. It is so good. And I read through the empty nester part and yeah, it was really, really helpful. So thank you for not just writing a book and giving us wisdom, but giving us practical tools to implement what you're teaching us. And it really is, especially for those that maybe are like, I wouldn't class myself a morning person. This is gold. This is so good. And there's it's not like so strict, it's just ideas and you can and take what you want. But you don't talk about a morning routine, you talk about a morning ritual. So tell me why you chose ritual over routine real quick. I know we're almost at the end here.
Yeah, so for me, routines sound performative. They sound like
Mm.
something I have to do. I don't like to think about things that I have to do. And I just don't get motivated by routines. To me, it just feels routine. But when
Got
I
it.
talk about a ritual, it's something that feels meaningful, even sacred. It feels like I am waking up to this sacred ritual that draws me into the hope and joy of Christ. Like how we name things is so important and can shape how we approach today. If it is, I have to go do my routine and put the little X's in the boxes. That feels different than I get to wake up and I have this ritual where God
Mm.
and I like while I'm having coffee, when I'm lighting my candle before Bible time, when I'm going for a walk, and in my ritual, like I'm gonna be noticing, the sky or the color of the sunrise or the color of a turning tree. If it's a routine, I might not be paying attention in quite the same way.
I think that's really good. All right. So this episode's coming out 2 weeks before your actual book launch. So I know you have always done pre order incentives with all your books. So tell me about what would be exciting for someone to order this before it actually releases.
Yes. So if you order one copy of either the book or the Bible study or both, you get the morning survival kit, which has prayers, lock screens, like wake up well checklist, all kinds of morning ritual checklist that you could pick the one that works best for you. If you
Mm,
order five or more, so think book club, Bible study groups, you get something really special, and that is an actual physical t-shirt that says Morning
mm.
Person in Progress. And then you get Morning Person in Progress stickers for your coffee mug or your water bottle. So I think these are
So
so
cute.
fun.
They are cute.
Yeah,
I've seen the t-shirt because you've done a couple fun reels about it. It's totally cute. It's white with the pink on it, right? Is that
that's
the
right.
one?
Yep.
And you've got your morning person hat, and I love all of it. So, you know what, Jennifer, I think what I love about your books is they're just full and rich of like
Thank
content.
you.
It's not just, you read it, you're like, that was good, but there's practical things, but I mean, there's just so much in it. And I have always loved reading your books, and this one was another favorite. And yeah, a lot of depth to it. So I love highlighting a good book that has depth on the Depth podcast. So thank you, Jennifer. And normally I ask you what books have impacted you, but because of time,
We
I'm going
got
to see
time.
if you could just, yeah, if you have one or two that maybe are new that you haven't shared since the last time you were on about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, anything
Yeah. And I
life
know it's like,
changing.
oh, you're gonna ask me this, and I bet I was like, I gotta find one that I haven't done, and one came to mind, and I'm like, that's
Oh,
it.
good.
And that is my hymnal from childhood, because
Wow.
when I there like it can bring me to tears when I hear like, oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing, or the old rugged cross. I love to tell the
Mm,
story, Beautiful Savior, Abide with Me, like all of these songs have like they just speak to something deep, deep inside of me.
I love that.
And yeah, so I love it. I love contemporary music, but man, there's nothing like holding that old hymn book in my hand and singing along with the congregation.
That's great. Now, do you actually have one that you've taken, or do you just use it at the church, or do you have your own?
I do have my own. I have one from childhood that from my childhood church, and then I have two from home that I have here. I've got a lot of kind of hymn books, but I
Hymn
have some of
books.
those old, like traditional ones, like the ones that I had when I was a kid, kind of books too.
Yes. I know. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being my guest for the fourth time. Oh my gosh,
Woohoo!
Jennifer, that is so wild. And again, I want to just close with this. In the final chapter, you give this commission, and it's so good. And I'm not going to ruin it because I want people to read it, but I'm going to read one sentence from it. It says, I commission you to live like a morning person, not because of the hour you awake, but because of how you awake, with a heart turned to God, a mind prepared to embrace the day, and a body ready to serve. I can't think of a better way to end it than that, Jennifer. That is just so good. So that's what our goal is, to be a morning person, that this is what we want with our mornings, this time with God, but it's just empowering us for the day. So thank you again for
Thank
sharing
you.
and for writing just another amazing book.
Thank you.